he gonna get caught. He'll pop out on you. He get there too quick.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference, almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet?
Several veteran boxing analysts have warned Jake Paul about taking on Gervonta "Tank" Davis after new training footage showed Davis displaying incredible speed and power. Experts say that staging a fight with such a big size gap is not only physically risky, but also harmful to the sport's image. They caution that Paul should treat Davis as a real, dangerous boxer, not just a social media name. The latest clips of Davis highlight his sharp technique, agility, and ability to trap opponents, making it clear that any complacency from Paul could come at a serious cost.
Because it sounded like Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua was getting closer and closer for January. However, there have been rumours of GervontaDavis versus Jake Paul in the past. I think with GervontaDavis' kind of legal problems in the last month or so and rumours about his retirement, I don't think it's a massive shock that he is taking this Jake Paul fight if it is going to go ahead, purely for the reason that it's a lot of money for maybe not the most difficult job that he's going to have in his career. So it's a strange one, but yeah, it's just another kind of day in the sport, really.
Promoter Eddie Hearn has strongly warned Jake Paul about the serious risks of fighting GervontaDavis, saying Paul could face dangerous, even devastating consequences. Calling it a clear mismatch, Hearn questioned Paul's safety and urged caution despite the fight's huge commercial appeal. While he rated the matchup as a 50-50 draw in terms of outcome, his message was unmistakable. This fight isn't just about wins and losses. Paul's health and well-being could truly be at stake.
I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight. But I truly believe you're going to see it at the beginning of 2020.
Daniel Cormier offered a balanced but critical take on Jake Paul's decision to face GervontaDavis. He acknowledged Paul's growing legitimacy and business success, saying he respects how Jake has built himself into a major draw with platforms like Netflix backing him. However, Cormier pointed out the obvious size mismatch. Davis weighed about 133.8 pounds in his last fight, while Paul is close to 200. He noted that Davis is clearly the better boxer, but the weight gap makes the matchup risky for both. If Paul loses, his momentum could collapse, and if Davis falls short, it could be a major embarrassment against a much bigger opponent.
On YouTube and on Disney walked in there and said, I'm going to be a professional boxer. Jake Paul needs to be commended for that. He had a vision, and he honestly executed that vision better than anyone ever could have expected. But sometimes you want something so badly that you don't recognize the dangers that come with wanting that thing and then getting that thing. Now Jake Paul has gotten himself to a point where he's fighting someone that could truly, truly end his career. Mike Tyson. We're talking about one of the scariest, most dangerous fighters to ever step foot in the squared circle. For me, it's pretty simple. Jake Paul, in the Mike Perry fight, he got a great appetizer for what he will get in the main event. A fighter that starts very fast, that throws things to take your head off, and you have to kind of match the intensity to ultimately get your shots off. Jake Paul today announced that he has signed with the PFL.
The PFL.
A couple weeks ago, Jake Paul and I were messaging each other about an appearance on my show, DC and RC. Just kind of talking about his future. And honestly, Jake and I have had some run-ins. When I started talking to him and I'm messaging him, he's a kid that's very respectful. And we had respectful conversations. He has an idea what he wants to do. Now, these kids today are different, right? So he's very boisterous, he's very verbal, he speaks big. But will Jake Paul actually fight in the PFL? A lot of boxers say they're going to fight, but they never actually do. Here's the thing about Jake Paul, though. He's from Ohio. Ohio has some of the best high school wrestling. Jake Paul was a high school wrestler there. So was his brother, Logan. They weren't bad. I believe this one, he'll actually fight.
Former super middleweight champion Carl Froch has voiced strong concerns about the safety of the upcoming Jake Paul versus GervontaDavis exhibition, pointing out the roughly 65-pound weight difference between them. With Paul fighting near 200 pounds and Davis at 135, Froch warned that despite Davis's skill, Paul's size and power could pose real danger, saying Davis isn't used to taking punches from someone that heavy. His warning echoes growing unease in the boxing world, where many view this matchup less as a legitimate contest and more as a risky spectacle that raises serious questions about fairness and fighter safety.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself, and the fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer. He never will be. And he proves time and time again that he's not a professional fighter. So, Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
Like me, I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. Swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he does so much wrong. It's just, everything's wrong. He's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level. And then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds, like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that GervontaDavis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting GervontaDavis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think, but the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. GervontaDavis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode, but hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in, and I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share, and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Froch on Fighting.
Ryan Garcia slammed the Jake Paul versus GervontaDavis matchup, calling it completely insane and questioning its legitimacy. He argued that modern boxing is losing its credibility, comparing the sport to professional wrestling and saying it now feels more like WWE than real competition. Garcia warned that these kinds of fights hurt boxing's integrity and make it harder for fans to take the sport seriously, bluntly stating, "Boxing is officially the WWE."
World, and another fight that Jake Paul just booked for his joke of a career against a 65-plus smaller guy than him in GervontaDavis. Jake Paul is a circus sideshow for low IQ incels. Nobody should be falling for this carny bullshit about him being a real fighter. Gervonta is a million times better than him, so he has to handicap Gervonta's skill by being a giant lab rat with a 65-plus weight advantage over him. This is a joke. This is a mockery to the sport of fighting. You know, the best are supposed to fight the best. Why is he fighting a guy that's, you know, in his last fight, Mike Tyson, who, you know, he's got a 40-year age gap between them? You know, why are you fighting a guy that should be in line for, you know, the early bird special, not fighting in a boxing ring, and Mike Tyson? Now you're fighting a guy who is, you know, tiny. He's a 130-pound fighter. You fight in the 210, 220 weight range. So, you know, this is another joke in Jake Paul's career. You know, he claims to want to be a real fighter, but, you know, he's not taking the real steps to be real fighters and fighting, you know, top 10 guys and fighting the best guys in the world. You know, he fights, you know, these circus sideshows against guys that have no business being in there against him. So, you know, I guess this is the state of boxing. It's dead. UFC took over, and, you know, this is what you get now. You get this YouTuber who, you know, is on Lizzie McGuire, and he wants to claim to be a real fighter, but he doesn't want to fight real fighters. So, you know, I think it's ironic, though. Why would he hire a lawyer to sue people that say that his fights are fixed if they weren't, allegedly? So I don't know. It's kind of weird. You guys do the math.
Amir Khan sharply criticized the upcoming Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis exhibition, calling it disgusting and warning that it's dangerously unsafe. He pointed out the massive weight gap, Paul at about 200 pounds and Davis at 135, as well as an 8-inch height difference, saying the mismatch is so extreme it likely wouldn't be approved in a professional setting. Khan cautioned that fights like this could lead to serious injury and further damage boxing's reputation, while praising promoter Turki Alishik for refusing to support YouTube-style spectacle bouts.
Bad mismatch, and you know what? Whoever the promoter is and that's agreed Gervonta to fight, and whoever the promoter is to fight for Jake Paul to say fight this little man. I mean that's wrong, man. I mean that's just like torturing someone. I mean going in there and hurting someone is just not fair on Davis. But like say you don't know what position Davis is in. I heard that he's been having a lot of legal problems and been arrested a couple of times for a couple of felonies and stuff I've seen with his ex-wife and stuff. So you know what? You don't know what's going through his head. Maybe he just wants to cash up and walk away from the sport. And maybe this is a great opportunity for him where he's seen this fight come up and he's like, fuck it, I'll take it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think they're making boxing a joke, really. Yeah. One day someone's going to end up getting hurt so badly, then it's going to definitely destroy the sport.
Michael Bisping didn't hold back in his criticism of Jake Paul, calling him a bully for repeatedly targeting much smaller fighters. He highlighted the huge size differences Paul enjoys, like the 60-pound and 7-inch gap he'd have over someone like Canelo Alvarez, and accused him of handpicking smaller, less experienced opponents to secure easy wins. Bisping called the approach embarrassing and questioned Paul's credibility as a real boxer, saying he relies on spectacle and physical advantage rather than true skill. In his words, pretending to be a legitimate fighter while cherry-picking opponents is nothing more than bully tactics.
How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It's like, dude, what are you doing? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real.
Michael Bisping has repeatedly criticized Jake Paul for choosing opponents who are smaller or less skilled, saying those matchups give him unfair advantages and turn the fights into disappointing spectacles. He's also argued that Paul operates more like a businessman than a real boxer, building his career on marketing rather than genuine competition. Bisping believes Paul prefers fighting aging or past prime opponents instead of taking on real challenges that would test his skills. Similarly, KSI has blasted Paul's upcoming fight with GervontaDavis, calling it a disgrace to boxing. He accused Paul of dodging a fight with him and chasing easier matchups instead, reflecting his continued frustration with how Paul handles his boxing career.
The rematch clause and just fighting Jake Paul and that whole situation and reaction of the fight itself.
I feel people people got issues because it's 200 million mandatory or either go fight for 5 million. It's a no-brainer. Like, what's wrong? What's a no-brainer?
A hard fight.
And with prize fighters, they prize fight. Right. The prize is big, and he's gonna retire soon. So you got 200 million right here, and you're about to retire soon, or either $5 million.
Wait a minute. Kid said he disagreed. Why did you disagree?
I think it's just from a fighter standpoint. And on top of that, he got a draw. It's not like you won. Like you won and you gonna go fight Jake Paul. You got a draw, man. You gotta go get that back.
Why? It was a cherry pick.
I mean, yeah, it was a cherry pick, and you didn't.
So hold on.
So you got.
I mean, look, with Jake, the guy's been ducking me or running away from me for so long, man. Like, he's just making excuse after excuse, and now he wants to fight Tank. I mean, it just says the type of guy Jake Paul is. He only fights someone if he has a major advantage. Anything that's close, or anything that could actually be a decent fight, he runs away.
British heavyweight Dave Allen, known as the White Rhino, slammed the planned Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis exhibition, calling it a farce and a waste of Davis's prime. He argued that exhibition fights should be for retired boxers, not active champions, and said Davis should be focusing on a rematch with Lamont Roach instead. Allen also urged Paul to face a legitimate cruiserweight if he wants real respect, accusing both fighters of chasing money over genuine competition. He ended by saying he wouldn't even bother watching what he considers a complete joke of a fight.
But he's never been punched by a rhinoceros, has he yet? So we'll have to see.
He's training this fight, but fighting against real bears. This is true. People are going, no chance, no chance. Do you reckon this guy, could he be the toughest of your opponents so far, do you reckon?
I don't think he's the best that I've faced. I've faced a few Olympic medalists, a few world title challengers, but I think he's probably the most dangerous. Maybe not the best boxer, he might not be the most technical, but he hits really hard, he's really big and strong, so yeah, I think he's the most dangerous task I've faced, but he may be not the best fighter I've been in with.
Whereabouts is the fight, Dave? Where are you fighting him?
So he's still at Sheffield Arena,
right?
Headlining in Sheffield, which is like my local arena. So yeah, it's a big night for me.
He won his last fight, didn't you, Dave, against Ricardo Brown, and 20 wins, 19 KOs he's got. So like you says, he is dangerous. How's the training gone for you ahead of this fight?
Yeah, it's been good. He's put a bit of fear in me, to be honest. I have had a bit of genuine fear. I've been stopped, but I've never been on the canvas ever as a pro or amateur. So, and I'd like to keep it that way, really. Yeah. I'm not on anyone's highlight reel. You see highlight reels, all the fighters I face, I'm not on any of them. And I'd like to keep it that way. So yeah, training has gone up a notch. For the Fisher rematch, I did weigh a little bit heavy, so for this one, if I cut any corners.
Some critics are calling GervontaDavis's decision to fight a much larger, high-profile influencer the biggest duck in boxing history. Instead of facing a true rival, they say he chose an easy payday and a flashy spectacle, avoiding real competition for fame and money. To many, it looks less like a challenge and more like a calculated move to dodge risk. In a sport where legacy usually means more than cash, picking glamour over grit has been seen as a sellout move. With the huge size gap and overhyped promotion, many feel the fight has become pure entertainment rather than sport, cheapening boxing's reputation and putting safety and tradition on the line for profit.
The internet will give it to you straight, no chaser. In sports, GervontaDavis and Jake Paul have a fight coming up. I ain't even gonna call it a fight, because it ain't. If Jake Paul's involved in it, it's a great acting job. You know Mike Tyson could have just knocked Jake Paul's face into the canvas, but he got paid to pull punches, otherwise he wouldn't have got paid. I'm pretty sure the same is going for GervontaDavis. It's a quick money grab. Man, most of y'all gonna be suckers and tune in. It's this quick money grab. That's all I'm saying. Ain't gonna be no fight. I don't give a fuck how big Jake Paul is. He can't take one of them little tank punches. And yeah, tank move furniture. Move furniture. Catch that motherfucking move furniture. And Jake don't like his furniture move, so he gonna pay him not to hit him again. If you really want to show out Gervonta, sign the contract that you ain't gonna hit him, because if you hit him, you lose all the money. And then whoop that motherfucker's ass, put him to sleep, and get him out the boxing game once and for all.
Some critics believe boxing has lost its way, arguing that the sport is no longer about fair competition and real skill. They claim that celebrity matchups, uneven fights, and hype-driven spectacles have taken center stage, pushing true world-class boxing into the background. In their view, entertainment has replaced excellence, leaving the sport's proud legacy fading behind showmanship.
Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. Chilaquiles.
Musty energy. Musty energy. Musty energy.
Oh, it's musty, and I say that respectfully. Per Mike Hoppinger in the Ring magazine, Gervonta Tank Davis, freshly off his domestic violence charges being dropped, will get into the ring with Jake Paul in Atlanta with a proposed date of November 15th. Lord child. Tank weighs about 135. Jake Paul weighs about 200-some pounds. So So obviously this will be at a catch weight, and this possibly will not be a sanctioned fight where it will count on anybody's records. But I'm gonna tell y'all like this. Tank fans, you niggas down bad.
The hatred. Musty energy.
You niggas is down bad.
What do you think about this fight? Is it time for Jake Paul to face an opponent closer to his own size and ability to prove he's a real contender? Or is this just the new reality of boxing today? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.